These two guys joining me right now, I know they had a good time this weekend because I saw it all over social media. Charles, Bishop, and Neely from the Pregame show joining us. You guys are fresh off of Friday Night Lights with Deion Sanders and a host of NFL current and former stars that were there in Jackson, Mississippi. Charles, Neely, man, welcome to the show again. How was it this weekend?
Thank you, Tyler. I tell you what, it was a tremendous atmosphere. The intensity was high amongst the campers, but just the community at large. I mean, I think they really enjoyed the stars coming out to this camp, and it was very well done. I can't say enough about it. I mean, everything flowed from beginning to the end, and I think the campers really got a lot out of it.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. I think that a lot of times when things are dealing with Coach Prime, the expectation and the standard is high. But this is one of those moments where he exceeded that expectation and standard. I really think it went above and beyond people's wildest imaginations, what they thought the camp would look like, what they thought would feel like, what they thought the campers would get from it. I think it hit on all the right notes and exceeded expectations.
Neely, you had a chance to talk to Deion Sanders on Monday morning. So after having a couple of days to digest the camp, what was his feeling looking back on it?
He was still ecstatic, still on cloud nine. This is his first year at Jackson State, going into his first fall season, his first camp, and he was very pleased with the coaches that attended from not only the SWAC but other conferences as well. He was still riding high with his NFL colleagues. I asked him about his NFL peers, and I had to remind myself that he's peerless to some degree with NFL players, but a lot of these younger players look up to him and pattern themselves after him, and they showed up in larger numbers than he expected. And the campers also, when you talk about a camp that had some right at 300 attendees with registration closing in less than an hour, and for them to come as far as Indiana, Texas, California, all the way to Florida to Jackson, Mississippi for a Friday night camp, he loved every minute of it.
All right, let's hear now from Deion Sanders, head coach, Jackson State University.
Man, there's so many guys came. It's guys that showed up from the area that I didn't even know, and I didn't even know they were from the Jackson area, which was tremendous because all we need to do is see someone that wears a suit called successful to give us hope. And a lot of these kids, I think just seeing T.O., Tyrann, and many of the other, Nate Newton, Jimmy Smith, thank God Jimmy Smith came down. Kids associate that with saying, man, you know what? If they see the dream, they see the goal, they can attain it. Sometimes you just got to see it. You got to see it and touch it and feel it.
All right, that's your favorite player's favorite player. He's Coach Deion Sanders at Jackson State. Charles, you almost had an offer, man. You put yourself out on the line in front of Coach Sanders this weekend, man. You put your hand in the dirt. Get set, go, and about 10 seconds later, man, you finished the 40-yard dash. What type of offers did you get from Coach Sanders after that, Charles?
Well, it's tough to get any offers when you're timed with an hourglass, and I think that's where my time is. But I tell you what, the old hammies and the knees, man, I can't take it anymore.
but Neely, Charles did get an offer, right? How did that offer go again?
Well, it wasn't an offer. It was more of I wouldn't offer him a 3-piece spicy. So, we shared that video with Coach Prime. He was getting ready in the locker room to come out. So we sent him that test run that Charles put out. And, a lot of folks are in scholarship mindset about what they would offer somebody they saw out there. And Coach Prime's response was, I wouldn't offer him a 3-piece spicy for that effort.
Hey, Charles, you got to shoot your shot, though, right? You got to shoot your shot.
Luckily, I'm a better golfer nowadays.
Well, look, you talk about offers and scholarships and shooting your shot. That's happening all across the college landscape. Not only was there football instruction going on, you guys got to talk to some of these guys about some of the hot topics around the game of football, and one of those is the transfer portal. Neely, what type of reaction and feedback did you get from some of these guys as you hit them up about the transfer portal?
I tell you what, one was pretty much unsolicited. We sat down with Nate Newton, Cowboys legendary offensive lineman. It's just part of all those runs, all those Pro Bowls, Super Bowls. And he went out of his way to talk about what he was sharing with the young people at the camp as it relates to the transfer portal, taking away scholarships from those 11th and 12th graders. So you got to be more on your grades, more on your body, more on your work ethic. And he joined us on the pregame show and went heavy on that segment.
But I want all young kids out there to know that's coming out of 10th level and 12th grade, you have to be more dedicated than ever because you are facing what they call the portal. Sure. Each college used to average 25 scholarships to just high school students every year. Now with this portal thing, you're losing anywhere from 12 to 15 scholarships to guys moving around to different colleges. That's only leaving 10 to 12 scholarships for these kids. And that's what I was trying to express to them out here, to the parents that are listening. Make sure your kids are up on their grades even more now than ever, and make sure that they're in shape and ready to go because they're not only fighting against their own peers in the 10th level and 12th grade, they're fighting against college guys now in this portal.
All right, that's Nate Newton. He's a former Cowboy great. A lot of strong feelings out there. There were lots of messages to the campers and a lot of players out there that they looked up to, guys. A guy that we all kind of admire, the Honey Badger. He lives up to his nickname year in and year out. Tyrann Mathieu. What was meeting him like? What was the vibe surrounding him, Charles?
Oh, it was tremendous. I mean, he sat down and talked with us and really shared his story of how Coach Prime really helped him during down times and just his thought process coming from New Orleans and going through these camps. It was tremendously insightful, and we really appreciated him stopping by and talking with the pregame show.
All right, I want to get Neely's reaction, but first, let's hear from the Honey Badger.
He was one of the first people to reach out to me, really support me, in public. So that meant a lot to me. So when he reached out, told me about his camp, it was a no-brainer. I had to come.
Yeah. This your first visit to Jackson State?
Yes, it absolutely is. Yep.
Yeah. What do you think about the stadium?
I like it, actually. I was actually talking to a couple of the players. I was asking them how many people, come to the games and how I have all these people on their feet, So, but nah, man, anytime I get in the football stadium, it's always like a sanctuary for me.
Good deal. What are you hoping to come from the camp today as far as your interaction with the young players?
Well, I'm really just hoping I can encourage them. I really want to see who works the hardest and who listens the hardest. So I think those are two of the most important things. Pretty sure a lot of these guys have great athletic ability, but it's all about who works the hard and really who listens to their coaches.
Now, when you heard Coach Prime was becoming the coach at Jackson State, when you first heard that news, what did you think about him coaching at HBCU?
Well, I really thought it was great, really for the culture and for the community. I really feel like these programs get overlooked by other programs. But at the end of the day, this is our foundation, as a community, really as black people. So to have a guy of his stature really come back here and really give it the publicity that it needs, I'm hoping he can inspire more coaches to take these kind of jobs and really become a part of their communities as well.
All right, Tyrann Mathieu. Neely, your perspective from getting to spend a few minutes with him.
His sincerity. He was truly honored and happy to be there. You could tell this is a guy who thinks a great deal of Coach Prime. He mentioned that during those darkest times in his life that he didn't know Coach Prime, and Coach Prime reached out to him and even traveled to meet with him to counsel him and get him through those issues when he was forced out of LSU and removed from the Heisman race. And that was probably 10 years ago now, and that relationship is still strong. So when he heard the call about this camp and heard Coach Prime was going to be the coach of Jackson State, he couldn't wait to get here and said he'll always answer the phone when Deion Sanders calls.
Guys, people always ask, some people, not everyone, they're like, hey, man, y'all talk about Jackson State all the time. I still find it hard how to articulate the scope of Deion Sanders. I think we just, we kind of think about him and we try to simplify things. Oh, yeah, he was really, really good. But, man, he has done so much, if you just take away half of his greatness on the football field, still his impact on the game and the fact that he's now dealing directly with HBCU athletes, man, it's still a shocking thought each day when I think about it.
I agree. And that's one of the reasons why he was, just strong and being encouraged about having those other coaches, at his camp, went out of his way to say, look, Neely, this is not some form of competition. We're going to compete on game day, and we're going to do everything we can to win. But before that and after that, this is about building the HBCU market space. And this is about making sure that kids have an opportunity. And that opportunity may not be at Jackson State University. So he was blown away and really excited about the other coaches from around the nation who showed up for this camp and were there eyeballing kids and looking at talent and making sure that their presence was felt at his first camp.
No doubt about it. I mean, you had other HBCU coaches there, Terry Sims from Bethune-Cookman. You had Vince Dancy from Mississippi Valley State, Donald Hill-Ely from Alabama State, a plethora of coaches from JUCO ranks, a group of 5 coaches as well, that all came to this camp. So I tell you what, it was a tremendous outpouring of support, if you will.
And I think, Chuck, one of the biggest ones that just caught my eye, when you see Grambling walk in, of course, like, hey, man, the swag is here. But to see the new coach at Norfolk State walk in, and spend a great deal of time at the camp. Just left Southern. Coach Odoms just left Southern Norfolk State and was here on the ground in Jackson, Mississippi, getting his recruit on, shooting his shot. There's absolutely no bad blood between Coach Prime and Coach Odoms. Coach Prime has always said, I respect him. This guy has run a strong program at Southern. There's a lot of stuff that we can learn from that he did down there. And Coach Prime has always said, I want to glean from these guys, and I'm open for them to glean from me, that we have to build this space, build this marketplace for HBCUs to increase opportunities for young people.
That's really awesome. That is really awesome. I'm all for, talking the talk when it's game week. We have fun with that, man. But to see those guys connect and build together so that, all ships rise. We're all in the same water. Let's get all the boats rising at the same time. That's really good stuff. One of my favorite former players, T.O., Terrell Owens. I mean, he owned the internet this weekend with his performance there, man. He lined up against those campers, man, and they got to shoot their shot. They got to get down in their stance and see if they could guard T.O. Look, the ball came out late. Neely must have been the quarterback. The ball kept coming out late, man. T.O. was wide open, man. But that seemed
I couldn't let him show my guys up. But Tolly, I'll tell you this: the most impressive thing that I took away from that moment that doesn't come across on the internet is that the camp was over. People were leaving, and T.O. went out of his way to stick around some 20, 30 minutes later to do individual, not drills, but challenges with JSU players, something he didn't have to do. It wasn't part of a station or a drill or on the agenda for the camp. People are packing up and leaving. Elvis, Coach Prime, had left the building for part of this, but T.O. remained and was probably one of the last NFL guys to leave the stadium that night.
Exactly. And then the thing that jumped out, he was tremendously interactive, working with the quarterbacks. I mean, there was one point we looked over, and he's over there working with the quarterbacks. He's standing in front of the net, catching balls, just very interactive with the campers. So I'm sure they really tremendously enjoyed the interactiveness of T.O. With everything with the camp.
That's a great point because you guys are right. That part wasn't parlayed on the internet. I thought it was part of the camp. It just seemed to be that way, or at least it was easy to assume that. Mm-hmm. What would you say, if you could answer this question, what did it seem like T.O. was getting out of it, like his level of enjoyment with interacting with the kids?
I think it was a matter of just that touch to let you know that I'm here. I'm an open book. Anything I can give you, anything, advice, because as Chuck said, he was working with the quarterbacks. He was working with the receivers. He was letting the secondary collegiate guys, try their best to cover him and letting them get physical with him. I think he was just simply saying, hey, man, we're in this together. If I can help you guys get better, anything that I can do as Terrell Owens, I'm willing to do. And that showed with his time on task. When he got there, we were like, hey, T.O., are you ready for your interview? He started stretching and putting on cleats.
Yeah.
Other NFL guys walked up, mic'd up, sat down for their chit chat. He was stretching in the end zone and doing wind sprints. So we knew he was there to put in some work, and he worked the entire camp.
And let me be honest, Tolly, he still looks great. He still looks like he can get you 6 catches for 120 yards. So, I mean, and I think just being able to go out there and challenge these young campers and challenge these young athletes out there, it did something for him as well.
Hey, you know, I think the thing with T.O., and I'm not pretending that I know him, I've never met him in my life, but I would assume a lot of places that he goes, man, people want to talk and they want to bring up this and Philly that and, you know, all this stuff. That at Coach Sanders' camp, I'm kind of drawing an assumption, tell me if I'm off, that was really a safe space for him just to get in there and get the work done.
I think it was. You know, per his social media, one of the first things he posted in Jackson was him sitting at the counter at Waffle House eating. You know, so this is T.O. coming to Jackson for Coach Prime camp, and the first place he goes is Waffle House. You know, he was really just here, boots on the ground, common man, blue collar worker, wanted to be treated like one of the other coaches. I'm not T.O. I'm here to give instructions, and he laced them up and went at it, man.
Very much so.
Wow. Your final takeaway after, you know, a few days have passed. This was a really big thing that was out of the norm for a lot of schools, especially Jackson State. This level of star power. What kind of sticks with you the most outside of Charles running the 40?
I think I turned to Neely, and I think we both agreed it was a lot of talent out there. Even the younger kids that were out there. They showed some explosiveness, some quickness, all that great stuff. And we just kind of looked at each other and said, you know, all things are pointing in an upward trajectory in terms of the talent that is even looking at HBCUs now.
Yeah, and I shared that, Chuck. And in addition to it, I think for me, it's the shift in paradigm. You know, you're used to camps being held in HBCUs or in more urban environments. And, you know, there's a space jump out in the parking lot. There's hot dogs in the stands for the kids. This camp had timers. It had a weigh station. It had a station where your vertical be measured. All the things, including the ball speed, was being measured. And for it to be sponsored by not only Coach Prime, but for Gatorade and Under Armour to also be title sponsors, that's just not the kind of thing that you have commonly seen in the HBCU space over the years. And so I think what happened on Friday night, June 18th, I think you had a game change. I think you had a paradigm shift. I think that not only can you expect more out of that in the Jackson State space, I think other HBCUs are going to call up the phone and hit up some Under Armours and some Gatorades and some other companies to say, hey, we want to do that too. And what's important about that, Tolly, is that's what Coach Prime wants. He doesn't want this to be a Jackson State thing. He wants it to be an HBCU thing.
All right, that's Neely. That's Charles Bishop. They are from the Pregame Show. They had boots on the ground live. Man, if you want to catch some of their live show, go check them out on social media, the Pregame Show. They had it on lock in Jackson on Friday. Neely, last thing here, man. Can you set up a workout for me? I think I can beat Charles' time, and they might even offer me the 3-piece spicy. Can we work that out?
I am sure that you can get a 10-piece bucket because you will destroy Chuck's time.
Oh, wow.
Charles, we kid because we care, Charles. I hope you know that, man.
I go through this all the time with Neely. Join in the fun, Tyler.
All right, guys. Thanks for all your hard work this weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us. Great content. We love having you guys on. We really appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.